those requests. You just need to find out what those are. But if it's your pieces and parts and your microservices that are deployed in various forms and various systems and architectures in the cloud, you need to get a grasp on which of them is the slowest. So let's say now in our case, I have UI, API, brokers, I mentioned all of these things. I have a way to run them all locally. I mean, it'll take literally like 15 minutes, give or take, for someone new joining our team to get them set up. That's the way we have it, and that's the way you want to have it, because you don't want to spend like 3 days onboarding somebody, right? If you're a small team, you just can't afford to waste that time. So I can, now that I have it set up, I can run them quite quickly. But in this example, I've said that we're going to make some assumptions and isolate and pretend that we've gone through those steps to identify that the problem is in the API layer. Problem in the sense, the fact that API, the one API of the PHY is taking more than 100 milliseconds, for instance, right? So what do? You can actually now, you want to disconnect from the cloud, and before you disconnect everything from the cloud and localize it, you can start slowly, because it's one thing to run everything locally, but which is all right, but sometimes it doesn't help identify the problem, because you want to identify the bottleneck. So going back like 2 minutes, right? You want to localize it, but localize it organically, right? Or step by step. So what that means is, let's say I have an API UI server, an API server, a broker and whatnot. I don't start off, even though I have it all running on a machine, to debug this problem, I don't try to have them all run, and I don't debug it that way. I just now have everything run on the cloud except for one of them, right? So if n servers are running on the cloud, I'm just going to do n-1. Have everything else continue to run on the cloud, and have that one server, whether it's UI or API or the broker or backend or whatever it is, have that one server run locally. So now I can tell. In this case, what I do, I have the API server run locally and leave everything else just be in the cloud in our lower environments, right? So I'm just connecting to test or dev or something like that. Now, when I make the call to that API, if it takes about the same amount of time, which is like 100 milliseconds, I think is the number we took, then I know things did not change. Meaning in this case, the API is running locally. Otherwise, in the real world, it would be running on the cloud, but it's running locally now, and it's still taking 100 milliseconds. So you could kind of assume that that still could be the problem, because things didn't change. Now, if that had taken like 50 milliseconds or 25 milliseconds, then you're like, okay, you know what, this, with all else being the same, if this API is running out in the cloud, it takes 100 milliseconds for this exact same request pointing to the exact same database. But when I'm running it locally, it takes like 1/4 of the time. So what could be the problem? What else could be the problem? Could it be network latency between your application servers and your database server? Or do you need to look more into your database configuration? Or what else are those items, right? Now, I've said a number of things which I didn't intend to say when I started this video. I just want to actually focus on one piece of it. But again, brevity has never been my forte, and sometimes you need to understand the big picture, the context for this to be worthwhile. Let me pick this up in the next video. Thanks.